What do you know about cattle mutilations? Today in this video, we're going to look at a few clips covering the topic of cattle mutilations. Basically, that is insinuating that some sort of non-human intelligence, aliens, let's just put it, are somehow experimenting and taking samples from cows. And, you know, it's an interesting phenomena for sure. I don't think I've ever covered it on the channel, so this will be the first time. The reason I'm covering it is because the New York Post has a UFO show, or at least they did, and it was called The Basement Office, and it's back. Now, I'm going to get into more details about the show and all of that here in just a second, but I have a trailer from their brand new episode of their hiatus, 2 years. They're back, and they're covering cattle mutilations, so I'm going to play a trailer from their show, put links in the description, and go check it out. And then I've got a couple other clips that I want to show about cattle mutilations as well. So stick around, see if we can learn something. If you're new to the channel and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button, y'all. I got a brand new episode coming out every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day. And please hit that like button, vetters. That really helps out the videos, y'all, okay? So thank y'all so much for the support there. And, of course, comment down below. What do you think about these cattle mutilations? Let's go. All right, so first up, we've got The Basement Office. Again, the New York Post had a show called The Basement Office. It was pretty popular. Look right here. You can see all these episodes, right? Just bam. There you go. You got all these different episodes of The Basement Office. And who hosts it? Well, those two guys, right here. You got Nick Pope and Stephen Greenstreet. So it keeps wanting to play the video there. But you can see on the top, Nick Pope to the right, Stephen Greenstreet to the left. Stephen Greenstreet is a New York Post journalist, right? And he's covered the topic, and you may or may not be familiar with him. And then Nick Pope right there to the right. I've had him on the show. He's been a guest, and he was the Ministry of Defense in the UK, part of their UFO office, right? And great guy. Really enjoyed talking to him, and they host a show. It's very popular, actually, for quite a minute there. They took a hiatus because the guy on the left, Stephen Greenstreet, he kind of, I don't know, however you want to describe it, right? People are going to describe it differently, but he basically switched sides, if you will. He's a pretty staunch believer, and he went to becoming a pretty staunch skeptic, and he's back covering the topic. So what else? I'm going to play the trailer, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts on the episode. And then we'll move on to a couple of clips that you're really going to want to see about cattle mutilation. So stick around. All right, here we go. Let's play this trailer here.
Cows killed by aliens. That may sound like the premise of a science fiction film, but it's something many people claim is actually really happening. Seemingly every year for the last 5 decades, there are new stories about so-called cattle mutilation, and the stories are mostly all the same. Cows found dead, with cuts and slices of surgical precision. Parts of their body are missing, and sometimes there is no blood, as if someone or something removed it all from the cow's body. Who or what is doing this? Some say it's the government performing secret tests. Others say it's a satanic cult. But the main suspect in cattle mutilation stories is usually, always, aliens. Is there any truth to these fantastic claims? Let's go down the rabbit hole and into the basement office.
There you go. So again, link in the description. It'll have the full episode there as well, and you can check it out. Okay, let's take a look at. Actually, let me get my thoughts right on this. So look, it's a little bit different show at this point, just to be honest. Nick is kind of in the beginning, and then he's kind of phased out, essentially. So it's definitely a different show, a different angle to the show than what it was before. So, you know, go check it out, right? Link in the description. Go check it out if you want. All right, let's move on. This is a great clip, okay? They talk about Linda Moulton Howe in that basement office episode. And I've got a clip from an interview she did on Kurt Jaimongol's podcast, Theories of Everything. And I'll put a link in the description to the full interview. It's fascinating. And let's go. There's a lot. Actually, the first 25 minutes are about cattle mutilations. So if you want to check out, I'm only going to play a clip of about 3 minutes. She's basically going to talk about, right, they get into the idea of, are they being mutilated aboard a craft, or are they being mutilated directly on the ground, like these cows, right? So they talk about how they come out of the craft, what's happening, what's going on with this, right? So anyway, let's just play the clip.
Did they give any indication that the cows were being lowered slower when you said that they heard rustling when the cows were being lowered into some ground? Are they being dropped? Or are they being lowered slowly?
I've heard both. The one in Oregon, that was the firsthand, the cowboy watching, because he heard the breaking limbs and sees the animals dropping. He could see a beam, but they were being dropped from the beam through the trees. Other cases, people see like the Linda Porter case that you mentioned. She and her daughter see a calf rising up in a beam of light, and then they find themselves in the craft with gray beings that are taking thin slices from testicles and other organs that they associate with the calf that they saw go up in the beam of light. So you have variations on watching something be lowered. I've had cases, they've seen it lowered all the way, but the rancher becomes terrified and runs back to a ranch house and does not come back to that pasture till the sun is up, and then they find a mutilated animal. Other people see them dropped, and why? For the most part, the vast majority don't see either. They find the animals.
What's meant precisely when you say that there is no blood? I've heard this many times. So does that mean that if I was to take my finger and touch the inside, that it would come out without any red? Or is it just that there isn't a drastic amount of blood? It's radically reduced.
You have
Good question.
one or two of my books, and you look at the photographs and you see an excision, eye, ear, the jaw, the genitals, the rectum, over and over. Thousands and thousands of photos around the world, the same. There's not even fluid. There's no blood. There's no blood oozing. There's no blood on the ground. Everything is dry.
What about urine or excrement?
I don't recall, I don't think, a single animal mutilation case, because usually in 90% of the cases, the rectal tissue is removed. And that means it's a hole, and there's no blood, and there's no fluid. And as a lot of sheriffs have said to me, it felt like sandpaper to touch the tissue. It was so dry.
You mentioned that Trump knows more about UFOs than he lets on. Why do you think that?
We're going to leave it there. Go check out that interview if you want to see her answer that. A little teaser for you. Again, link in the description. Go check it out. What do y'all think of that clip? My first thought is they always go for the genitals, y'all. And apparently the rectum. Nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred. Jesus. Very interesting. Again, the first part of that whole interview is about cattle mutilations. And again, in the basement office, they bring up Linda Moulton Howe, and I think it's important to go check that out. And there's many videos and things about it, and interviews, which are not really featured in the basement office at all, about it. So you could definitely do a deeper dive than that episode for sure. All right, last clip. Let's see what you think. We got Mr. George Knapp. This is old school. Okay, this is with John Lear. That's right. This is one part of a series during this interview. So there's many clips from this interview, and this is one part that they're going to talk about cattle mutilations. And again, this is John Lear. So just for context, thought it was a cool clip. Thought you guys might want to see it. Again, link in the description. Go check it out if you like. There's many other parts to this, right? All right, let's go. I'm going to play the clip here.
Welcome back to On the Record. The subject is UFOs. We're about to see part of a documentary. John, perhaps you could introduce it. It deals with the 14,000 cattle mutilations that happened.
That's right, and we were particularly prevalent around Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. And it was a documentary made by Moulton Howe for the CBS affiliate in Denver.
And let's take a look at that now, a piece of it.
Colorado are going to die each year from hard winters, disease, lightning strikes, predator attacks, and other natural causes. But in northeastern Colorado, another favorite spot for the mutilators, Tex Graves, former sheriff of Logan County, insists the 93 mutilated carcasses he investigated were not natural deaths.
The very first one we had was southwest of Sterling. When we first looked at it, it was just unbelievable that you could take an animal and do this too without leaving some kind of track, some kind of evidence behind, such as cigarette butts, matches, handprints, footprints, but there was nothing. The animal looked almost horrible, and it was something that I didn't really want to believe then. And there was, we probably had 5 or 6 others before I really did believe something strange was going on. We had one up north where we believe the animal was paralyzed and was alive when it was being mutilated. An eye and an ear, the tongue, the rectal area was taken out, but the animal dug a hole with its head, but none of the other parts of the body moved, not even the legs. 6 north of town on a very hard pasture, almost like hard brick. We found tripod marks 12 inches across. The tripod marks were 14 feet apart. We found one set that had gone in the ground roughly 8 inches. And it would take a good post hole digger or shovel to dig in like this. It indicated something very heavy had sat down in this area, yet there was no tracks leading from it nor to it. Almost nightly when this was going on, we could pick out a very brilliant, huge, brilliant light in the sky. We had a newsman take pictures of it with a very high-powered lens, but all we got out of this was the movement of it and the light showing very brilliant. Several times we observed those smaller lights come out of this aircraft and then come down toward Earth. This huge brilliant light would hang in the air, and then when it would move, it could move up and down, backwards, forwards, travel very rapidly, and after a while these smaller lights would join up with the larger one, and then they'd disappear.
Lou Gerardo is the chief investigator for the district attorney's office in Trinidad, Colorado. Extraterrestrials are the ones mutilating animals. What do you think the implications are then for this planet?
Throughout the mutilations, all of us involved have been concerned with the possibility of the mutilations going from animals to human beings, understandably. Thank God to this point it hasn't happened. Whatever they're doing with the portions of these animals they are taking, I haven't the slightest idea. There's a reason for it. It's not haphazard. There's a pattern to it. I don't know. I think it's a wait-and-see game. What else can we do? If we do have beings from outer space doing this with the capabilities to do things like this, what can we as a human race do? If they have the knowledge and the technology that it looks like they have, we're powerless. So maybe it's a wait-and-see game. I can't see anything else to do.
Well, he says the mutilations have not gone from animals to humans yet. You agree with that?
I There have been some humans. It's a very, very sensitive subject. I'm going to steer away from that. But I will tell you that since the beginning of this year, there have been over 200 animal mutilations on Long Island. It's supposedly a big secret. I know that there's 4 major law enforcement investigators working in plain clothes.
On Long Island, New York?
Yeah, Long Island, New York. We have an investigator working with us who's sending us videotape and keeping us informed of what's going on. So it still is a problem.
And you say it's food. That's what they're doing.
Well, food or genetic experiments, take your choice.
Now, it hasn't gone maybe to the point of where they're mutilating humans, but you do believe there are abductions. And you also believe that at one point there may have been some kind of a clash between American military forces and these UFO
That's one of the stories when we began to discover what I call the Grand Deception was in 1979, and apparently there was some kind of clash. 1983 is the date that I call that we finally recognized that we had made a disastrous mistake. And that's when MJ-12 realized that they were in deep, deep trouble. They had made a deal with these people, and it had not worked out, and now the question was what to do.
You got about a minute left. What would you like to say to people out there to prepare them for it? Now, you've made allusions a couple of times when I've had you on the program that something is coming. We've heard that before, something is coming. Why do you think something is coming? What's coming? And how should we get ready for it?
There's really no way to get ready for it. The reason I think it's coming is because I have contacts within the government that tell me that they're bracing themselves for something, but they're not going to tell us about it. George, maybe the cover-up was in our best interest, maybe not. Maybe the government underestimated the intelligence of the American people and decided we just couldn't handle it. But let me tell you this, the truth is still the truth, and nothing can change that. Not the military, not the government, and not me.
John Lear, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure we'll have you back again.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. See you next week with more of On the Record.
Come on, who doesn't love old shows like that do this? Come on. Love it. You know, so there was a clash in 79, 83, they realized, oops. And then something big is coming, you know, that was, 40 years ago. So, interesting, right? So Linda Moulton Howe has been involved with this for a long time. And it's interesting to hear John Lear's, take, right? He's talking about human mutilations. Doesn't want to get into that. But it's happening, just so you know. What? Can we learn a little bit more about that? I don't know. They want it for food. Why would they be mutilating cows for food is my only thing. That reason seems odd, but I don't know. Experiments, I don't know. It's an interesting topic for sure. And there are a lot of cattle mutilations. And it is very American-centric, which is interesting. But I don't know. Curious to read all the comments, what people think. If anyone's, lived on a ranch where that happened, would love to know that story. Put it in the comments. Yeah, I don't know. It's quite fascinating, right? So, again, all the links for everything I showed today in the description. Go check it out. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's episode. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.